So today I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about some of the conversations that I have with some of the clients that I work with. Last night I had a conversation with a client that has a really terrible commute, and just the thought of getting closer. He loves his job. He's been on the job a long time, but getting closer to that job and eliminating, a half hour on each side, which obviously gives a quality of life. So there's the side of selling the property. There's a lot of like history there. He loves where he lives, but there's also the side of like upgrading his property, going to the next best thing, getting a better quality of life, but also having like a different payment because obviously we're looking at a different property. So it really is kind of a place where, it's a lot of feelings involved, the feelings of the past and the fear of the future. So a lot of what I do is talking about like how it's going to be, what this looks like, here it looks better, there it looks better, there it looks better. Maybe it's easier to stay where you're at, but not all the time it's about being easy, because what I'm trying to help my clients is I'm trying to help them get ahead financially. So maybe it makes sense to stay where it is, but maybe it makes sense to make a move. Personally, like I have one child and I have, a wife. And if we have one more kid, we have to move. So we're in a 1,300 square foot bungalow ranch. We're in a great area. We love where we live. But a lot of the things are happening with clients as well. If we have another kid, where do we go? What does that look like? What do we do with the property? Do we sell it? Do we take equity out? Do we use the equity to buy the next property? Do we rent it? Do we just move on from it? So those are the things that we're kind of talking about, the strategies behind that, whether or not you want to be a landlord, whether or not you want to, take on the dream home now that you had your first house. So it comes down to those, just figuring out what those conversations look like. And a lot of times people decide to make those decisions really on their own just by the advice I give them. It's them deciding whether or not they make that move or stay where they're at, or move to Highlands Ranch or come from Highlands Ranch back to the city. Because a lot of people I talk to, like one guy just called it, he's in the food desert, because there's not food, there's not a lot of restaurants and things where he's at. He loves his house, but misses the culture of Denver and the ease of going to the games and the pizza places and the little places like that. So, if that's kind of something you want to talk about, this is what I'm here for. This is what I do. It's not just about just loans and paperwork and numbers. It's about feelings and relationships and your neighbors, like, is your neighbor the right neighbor for you? A neighbor can make or break whether or not you want to like stay somewhere forever or leave. I have clients that their neighbors come into their garage and they all have beers together and things like that, and they're not going to move ever. But you have that neighbor that's like drive you crazy, or the school potentially could be an issue. Like all the schools are rated, things like that are things to consider. So life matters, stuff matters. These things that we're dealing with matter. Our jobs, our family, our friends, things are changing all the time. So, and that's where I go with my clients. I get deep, and they know that they can trust me because I'm giving them advice that I would give to my brother or my dad. That's what I want. It's more fun that way.